wealth dynamics. And I come to you live every single Friday night. I talk about finances, wealth, making money, knowing about money, keeping the money we're making, investing it, multiplying it, building wealth. And the whole goal, the entire goal of these courses every Friday is I want to help build financially educated and wealthy families who are navigating their economic futures with certainty. Okay, to the degree that we have so many of those that it really impacts our economy, the prosperity of our nation, and it makes a gigantic impact for our country and for the world. So tonight, I'm going to talk about something very important. We have 2020 approaching, and I want to talk about how I set goals and how I want to teach you to set goals financially for 2020. Right, so it's coming up. We've all done New Year's resolutions. We've all done goal setting programs. You maybe even paid money for courses. I know I have on how to set goals. But I want to show you the strategy I use. I'm very good at it, and it works well for me. And I want to share with you in a simple fashion so that you can come away from this course tonight and say, man, I know exactly how to set my goals. I know exactly how to not only set them, but achieve them. Okay, I've set goals before where I had the awesome plan in place. Everything looked glorious, and I didn't achieve my goals. And so I want to teach you how to achieve as well as setting those goals for 2020. Now, real quick, if you're just tuning in, I want to thank you for checking this out. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you check these out every week. And if you can, while you're on the feed tonight, I want to see you share this content and information. Now, some real quick facts. So here are the facts with goal setting. So in 2019, only 14% of Americans even set financial goals for the new year. 2019, only 14%. I was one of them. Were you? Were you one of the people that sat down at the beginning of 2019, the end of 2018, like I did, and said, all right, here's what I want to make. Here's what I want to save. Here's what I want to invest. Here's how I want everything to look, and then build it out so that 2019 was on track. Okay, now check this out. In 2018, more people set their goals financially than did in 2019. That means that last year, less people in the United States set financial goals than the year prior. Okay, what does it mean when I set a goal one year and then I don't set it the next year? It means that I quit. It means that I'm not winning. It means that I gave up. I'm in apathy. I'm not actually trying to achieve the goal anymore because I reduced it. So what this is showing that Americans in general are not doing well with their goals. They're not winning. They're not on track. You want to make sure that screen looks good. They're not on track. They're not winning to the degree that they're keeping with the goal and persisting. They're giving up. Right? I've been there before. Think of a time where you set a goal and it didn't happen and you're like, man, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. Okay, there was some confusion. There was probably some bad information. I've set goals before where I set the goal, right? I set the goal. I didn't achieve it. I quit. And then I came back later with better knowledge. I was able to achieve the goal and I realized how wrong I did things the first time. That's probably a little bit of what's happening factually with Americans right now. Here's the deal though. Only about 1% of Americans who set their financial goals will actually achieve them. Not 1% of America, 1% of Americans that actually set their goal will achieve them. 1%, 14% achieve the goal, 1% actually achieve, or 14% set the goal, 1% actually achieve the goal. Very small gap. So that means that it makes sense why people are quitting. It would make sense that 18% set it, only 1% made it, and then we lost 4% off the top the next year that said, nope, I'm not playing this game anymore. It didn't work last year. It didn't happen. I didn't achieve my goals. Why would I even try? All right. So we want to look at really what are these people doing to set goals, but really what are these people doing to actually achieving their financial goals? Not, and I'm going to dive through some of the myths here, but it's not setting a goal and just saying it. They're actually following through, right? The main factor is that 1% do achieve their goals. So we can't look at this and say, I can't look at this and say, this isn't real. It's impossible because I can see 1%. That's proof. 1% of the time it worked. That means that I need to study what did this 1% do? It's possible someone did it and they have a method. They're doing something. What are they doing to actually achieve the goal? And if I mimic that and do it similarly, I should be able to get similar results. That's my argument here tonight because that's how it worked for me. My story, guys, I didn't start wealthy. I didn't start running a business. I didn't start with a bunch of money. I started as a broke kid in Houston, Alaska with a school of 62 students in my class, C-level student, didn't go to college. Parents were divorced. Mom died when I was 21 or 22. and really not even sure what to do. Like I didn't know if I should go to college. I didn't know if I should join the military. And the only thing that I was good at was bodybuilding and basically, you know, just like random stuff. Whatever I would put my mind to, I was good at, but most of it was just random stuff. It wasn't finances. I remember when I was 17 years old, driving in my car, thinking I had just learned that money wasn't backed by anything, and thinking, man, why would I even pursue this if it's got no value? And I'd quit on money. I went into poverty. Okay, when I first got married, I was homeless. Lexi and I spent the night in an abandoned house for how many months? 2 or 3 months?
3 months.
3 months. We slept in an abandoned house. Owners did not know we were there. Okay, we thought we cracked the code. We're like, man, we have free rent right now. This is awesome. Till we got kicked out of that place too. So I'm telling you, I wasn't naturally one of these people. Okay, I wasn't even one of these people. I didn't even have financial goals. I didn't start setting financial goals until I was 19. And I remember writing my first financial goal down and saying, I want to make $1 million. Right? I wrote it down on my journal, $1 million. And I thought, cool. Now I set a goal. Based on everything I read, it should happen. Guess what? It took me almost a decade to do that. Probably not almost a decade, half a decade, maybe 2/3 of a decade to do that. Okay, that was a long journey. That means that for 6, 7 years, I was running into walls and barriers and walls and barriers and walls and barriers. Some years I didn't want to set another goal. I was one of these people that dropped and said, I don't want to do this anymore. Now, what I'm telling you is I finally hit my goal. I became part of that 1%, but I didn't start there. And I don't think most of us did. If you're watching this tonight, you're probably looking at this saying, man, I want some help. I actually want to set goals that work this year. Okay, I talked to a guy today and he's like, man, and it's a lot of the information I learned was just false. I talked to a guy today who said, man, what are your financial goals next year in the next 12 months? And he's like, 250. I'm like, great. 250 sounds like a good number. I've been there. That's a fun level to be at. What are you making now? And he said 104. I'm making 104 right now. And I looked at it and I could tell when he was communicating, I could tell that the 250 didn't seem real to him. Real in the sense that he felt he could hold himself accountable to it. He looked at the number 250 and I was like, is that your number? And he's like, well, man, that's definitely an audacious goal. He didn't say, man, that's definitely my number. Yes, I can do 250. So I worked with him like, all right, so 250 could be great. That could be an awesome goal. But what I don't want to have happen is a year go by and us not achieve the goal and not really even be trying because we set it too high in the first place. Okay, by too high, I mean that you don't even understand the mechanics of how to get there. I've done that before. 10x my goal, everything's huge, but I don't understand how I'm going to get there. I don't know the mechanics of it. I need to know how to do stuff in order to achieve those things, right? So if I don't understand 250, I looked at, okay, well, what do you understand? You're at 104. What if we stretched it to 150? Okay, that's an additional $46,000 this year. That's over $3,000 per month that you need to be bringing in this year. Okay, starting in January, you have to make an extra $3,000. Is that something you can hold yourself accountable to? We decided 150 was his number. Okay, so 150, if 250 happens, that's awesome. But goals, like you can't be off in la la land. Like it has to be something real. And when I say goals, I'm talking annual. We're not talking 20 years down the road, 15 years down the road. We're saying next year. Okay, don't give me this giant number and say, this is where I'm going to be next year. But then when you start doing it, it was so huge, it didn't feel relevant to you in the first place. So you didn't even treat it like a real thing. It's like, oh yeah, I set goals one time. I've done this so many times, guys. I set goals one time. I didn't think it was real. I didn't follow through on it. I didn't do all the actions because it was so out of my universe. My thinking wasn't even that big yet. I didn't understand the mechanics of how to do it. So those are the facts with goal setting. Here are some of the myths though, okay? And if you've ever been caught up in these myths, I want to hear it from you. And I actually want to see some angry faces if you're watching this and you followed these myths. Who has done the myth of goals are pointless and don't ever happen? I've done that before. I set, like I said, so many goals that didn't work out that I got to a state where I was really like, man, this is kind of pointless. Okay, why am I going to sit down and go through this really detailed exercise and come up with all these goals and come up with all these numbers just to have them not happen? That is pointless. They don't happen in the first place. Why would I set goals? I've been there. That's a myth. Okay, that's you following the wrong data. That's me following the wrong data and then saying this doesn't work and then giving up on it. And you have to realize, and I have to realize, that we're talking finances right now. We're not talking weight loss, or we're talking about your family's financial security, my family's financial security. For me to say goals for my family's financial security are pointless and don't ever happen, imagine where I've got to be at mentally in order to admit to that loss, to say that there's not even a hope, to say that it's pointless. But I've bought that myth, and it is indeed a myth. The other one is that it's greedy and taboo. Okay, who's heard this one or believed this one? Setting financial goals is greedy and taboo. I remember when I first wrote the $1 million down, I don't even think I showed it to Lexi. Like, it was that weird. I had never set numerical financial goals before. I thought it was a sin. I was like, man, I'm definitely going to hell for this, but at least I'll have $1 million to do stuff with before I go. I didn't think that you could set financial goals. I was raised in condition that money was evil, that it was something you didn't talk about, that it was something that only bad people had. I was taught, and think about this, convoluting beliefs. I was taught that money was evil, but if you don't work, you don't eat. Think about how confusing that is. Money is evil, but if I don't work, I don't eat. And if I'm working, I'm working to get money. So I'm supposed to balance this tension between working so that I can eat, but then also money is evil. So I'm working for a thing that's evil, but I need to do just enough of it to eat. That's called paycheck to paycheck. That's what I was doing. So when I started setting goals, I was like, it's greedy, it's taboo. I really bought into that myth. I didn't share it with very many people. I felt weird when I did. And it took me a long time to grow out of that mindset. The next one here, goals. Those who achieve them have an unfair advantage. This was me for a while too. I would see somebody that hit their target, and I would think about all the reasons why they were better than I was, why they had a leg up on me, why they were dealt a better hand. Okay, oh, their parents had knowledge that my parents didn't have, or they went to college, or they had a better job, or they had more money saved up, or they actually got to keep their permanent fund dividend checks when they were little. In Alaska, that's what they pay us. They bribe us to live here. So some parents will keep those for their kids. Other parents spend it like it's candy. They just get rid of it. They buy TVs, crap. Mine was the latter, unfortunately. We didn't get any of those. So I'd look at kids that did and be like, man, they're 18. They've got freaking $36,000 saved up. I've got zero. And I would look at that and say, that's an unfair advantage. No wonder they're doing better than I am. Okay, looking back, though, I'm better off than a lot of those people are. It had nothing to do with me getting a PFD check. It had everything to do with what I'm about to share with you. So this is, again, a myth. Those who achieve their goals have an unfair advantage over those who don't. It's not true. And the little degree of this that is true, which I'm going to cover for you on the next slide, is so embarrassing that I wouldn't even want to admit that I had that unfair advantage against me. Okay. And then the final one, actually two more, is just the flat out, it can't happen for me. Okay. It's not for me. I'm not made for that. It's not in my destiny. That's not where God wants me. That whatever you tell yourself, whatever I've told myself in this area, it can't happen for me under that blanket statement. That's a myth. Okay. And then the final one is that I can't achieve my goals until ... Until I get married, until I go to college, until I have a house, till I pay off debt, till I get a better job, till I move, till I handle my addiction, till I'm whatever your reason would be, the ... That's also a myth. There's no reason why you can't achieve your financial goals until whatever happens. That's a story that I would tell myself in order to prevent myself from taking action. I was afraid, therefore I would come up with this boogeyman, this big, mysterious, invisible thing of until this circumstance is solved, and then I wouldn't do it. Or I would do it, I would solve the circumstance, and then I would immediately come up with another one. Okay, one of the people I coach, this happens regularly. I don't think he knows he does it. He might be watching right now. I'll solve one of his problems, and then immediately he'll come up with another one. It's almost like a vacuum. Like there has to be one there. So and they're not big problems. They might be mediocre to significant, but I'll solve it and then immediately say, oh yeah, that's done. But now what about this? I used to do that. And I have to get rid of that tendency even today to say, no. It has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with the goal. Not every goal is going to have an obstacle. I'm stupid if I think my goals are not going to have an obstacle. I'm just being naive at that point. So guys, these are all myths, and these are myths that I have bought into. They're myths that I have followed. They're myths that I believed, and they're myths that I had to get rid of. I had to strip myself of all of this garbage and start looking at, no, what are the successful people actually doing? And are they believing these things? And if they're not, I can't believe them either. It's not helpful to me. Right? So here's the truths. And some of these might be kind of hard to hear, but they're the reality. It's truth. It's stuff that I really, when I started like thinking this way and believing this way, my situation financially began to improve and I started achieving my goals. So the truth behind these, the first one is that goals are pointless. They never happen anyways. Goals are not pointless. And I want to actually argue to you that they always happen. Okay, your goals and my goals, they always happen. Now, based on that, we have to really agree and understand on what a goal is. So check this out. The definition of a goal, the result or achievement toward which effort is directed. The result or achievement toward which effort is directed, which basically we break that down. It's the stuff you get when you do things. The stuff you get when you do things. When I do this, there's cause and effect. I'm causing this. This is the effect. So my goal is I say, I want to have this effect. I'm going to get whatever I cause. Right? So check this out. And Lexi's the only one in the studio tonight. So she's going to be my assistant with this. So Lexi, if I said my goal was to make $10,000 per month, but then I go do things that make me only $2,000 per month, what was my goal?
To make $2,000.
To make $2,000 per month. It wasn't what I said. It was what I did. The result or achievement to which your effort is directed. I'm directing my effort towards things that make me $2,000 a month. Therefore, the goal is to do those things, not to make 10 grand. See, I started thinking this way when I was probably 20, maybe 21 years old, right around that time. And I realized my past history in life, I have achieved every single thing I set my mind to. I have never failed, not once. And you haven't either. And the reason I can say that is because I did all of the things I wanted to do. After I did them, I may have decided that that wasn't really what I wanted. And I was upset and in regret and in doubt and saying I didn't like that. But the fact was, all the way up to that point, I was doing it with intention. I was doing what I wanted to do. Like if I said I wanted to wake up at 5 a.m. and then I didn't because I woke up at 7 because I hit snooze, that means my goal was actually to snooze, not to wake up at 5 a.m. I succeeded. I hit the snooze button. I woke up at 7. That was my goal the entire time. I won. I didn't like the prize, but I won. There's a difference between you setting a goal and then doing something entirely different and succeeding at that entirely different thing and not liking the outcome versus you failing. That was not failure. That was a decisive action to go do something else. Think about that. Like when I started thinking that way, the whole game changed. So I've achieved every result of everything I've ever directed my effort towards. Goals always happen. If you put your effort towards something, it will happen, whether you said it was your goal or not, which means the game changer is that your goals are not what you say and write down. Your goals are what you do your actions toward. If my goal is to have a financial target in 2020, and I say it's this, and I say it's this, and I say it's this, but I'm over here doing something different, that means my goal was actually the something different the whole time. At the end of 2020, I don't even have the right to say, man, I missed my target. I'm going to look at, oh, I did everything I said I was going to do to myself, and I did it successfully, and I got the outcome. I didn't like that outcome. Two different mindsets and stories that I tell myself. Right? So that's the truth about goals are pointless and they never happen. They always happen. And that's the problem with goals, is they always happen. Like realize how powerful that is and how powerful you are. Your goals always happen. Therefore, you better be super intentional about what you decide to go pursue. I am now. I'm that way. And I'm not perfect at it, but I'm saying when I realized that, I realized, shoot, every single thing I've ever put effort behind happened. I need to be very conscious of the things that I decide to put my effort behind. And I need to be thinking about, do I want the result of those actions? And if I don't, then I need to be doing something different with my goals, because the goals I have right now are going to fast forward and turn into something I don't like. All right. Now, the second myth is that they're greedy. They're not greedy. Okay. I should not feel taboo. Think about this. If I have a family, I should not feel taboo about financially providing for my family. Like what part of that's normal for me to feel weird and uncomfortable about not living in poverty, about not living paycheck to paycheck? Now you might say, Jerry, I'm not in poverty, but here's the thing. If I can't, let's say you had a relative on the other side of the world right now that was about to die. I can't go there I'm not free. Okay, or I want to eat organic food and I want to make sure that I don't feed my family stuff that's going to give them cancer and diabetes, yet I can't and I have to feed them garbage because I'm not financially free. That is poverty. Just because you don't live in a box doesn't mean you're not living in poverty. We have to stop justifying our situations. If I'm restricted by money, that's not a good thing. That's called slavery. Okay, so why should I feel taboo about trying to get out of financial slavery? And for me, guys, this one was really the environment and the people around me. I heard this when I was probably 22, 23 years old. It's the story of the crabs, right? And there's these crabs, they're stuck in a barrel, they're trying to get out. And what happens is that all of the crabs in the barrel try and get out, they decide they can't. Okay, that's their new belief. And then they throw a new crab in the barrel, and the new crab has no idea that they can't get out. It hasn't made that decision yet. And they tested this in experiments. The new crab, when he tries to get out, the old crabs pull him back in, and they'll even kill him to keep him in there. Think about that. So I was raised with friends, family, acquaintances that their belief was, this is taboo, this is greedy. So I started getting pulled back down into the barrel at a very young age. And then I realized, like, man, these aren't even my thoughts. My desire is to be financially independent. That's not taboo. That should be something that everyone wants. Lexi and I were talking about this yesterday. If you had no like classism and racism and all that garbage that's made up, and you just thought about option A, riding in an airplane in a very uncomfortable seat where your knees are stuck in your chest and the food is crap, or option B, riding in an airplane where you have lots of leg room, your knees aren't in your chest, you can recline and you get hot food served to you whenever you want it. Which one would you choose in a vacuum? Meaning, like, if you had no other considerations, it was just those two things, you would choose the comfortable chair with the leg room with the hot food. I rest my case. It's not taboo. It's a natural desire. You should be going after it. The next one is that you have an unfair competitive advantage. Okay, when I learned this one slapped me upside the face, and I hope it does the same to you too, so that you snap out of it the way I did. The only unfair advantage that these people have is the fact that they are directing their effort towards a result or achievement. AKA, the only advantage is they have a goal. That is the advantage. So saying, which is what I would say, I'm not going to set goals because these people have an unfair advantage over me, therefore I'm not going to set goals. I was shooting myself in the foot because the goal setting was the reason why they had an unfair advantage. If you have a pitcher aiming at a target and throwing the ball at the target versus somebody dizzy, tied up, blindfolded, and just throwing a ball anywhere, which one do you think is going to hit the target? The guy that had the goal is going to hit the target. The guy that was blindfolded, not looking where he's going and dizzy, is not going to hit the target. So I was this. When I was saying, oh, these people have an unfair advantage, I was blindfolded, dizzy, running around without a target. Therefore, I would never hit my target. And then I would validate my belief system by saying, see, I didn't hit the target. So this is huge, guys. The only unfair advantage is to have a goal in the first place. The idea that it can't happen for me. This one is probably the most recent one that I had to overcome. It can't happen for me. I would set these financial goals and then I would go into, people call it like imposter mode or impersonator mode. It's just self-doubt, right? Like, it can't happen for me. I'm not good enough. I'm not talented enough, but this, but that. And I start just basically crapping on myself on why I can't achieve my goals. Here's the reality. It happened for them. Like, somebody did it, or it wouldn't be a goal of mine. If nobody had ever done it before, then yeah, maybe then I could say, oh, it can't happen for me. But even like Roger Bannister, right? 4 Minute Mile. Nobody had ever done that before. So even that kind of refutes that belief. But let's go ahead and give you that. Let's say outside of the things that have never happened before in the history of mankind, like, those could be on the impossible list. But if they've been done before, somebody did them. Okay, so if it's between it can't happen for me versus somebody did them, that's really a conversation of my own belief in myself. They did it. Why do I think I can't? Okay, and this one really stung. The reason why I think I can't, the reason why I think I'm different than they are, and the reason why I would be thinking about my own deficiencies that would prevent me from achieving my goals is because they're true. I'm going to repeat that. The only reason why I would say I can't do it, it's not for me, even though other people have done it, is because the things I'm telling myself are true. Think about this. If I was trying to run the 4 Minute Mile And I said, I can't do that. I'm not that fast. That's probably true. I'm probably not that fast. That's a true statement. Or if I'm saying I can't earn 250, I can't even earn 150, that's probably true. Otherwise, I would be at 150 right now. Or I can't pay off all my debt. I can't even manage my credit cards. That's a true statement. So really what it comes down to, and this is where it stung for me, personal ethics and responsibility. Okay, if I'm looking at a financial goal, let's take the debt thing, for example. I can't pay off my debts. I can't even manage my credit cards. Okay, let's check this out. Are there other people that have paid off their debts? Definitely, for sure, every day it happens. So what's the difference between them and me? Our personal ethics. I know what I should do and I don't do it. I know what I shouldn't do and I do it anyways. That's the only reason why I think it can't happen for me. And for me to look at this and say, I have a deficiency that will prevent me from achieving my goal, and it's true, and then not do anything about it is also laziness. So this comes down to, and this is where I said it stung for me, I was being a victim. I had victim mentality. For me to say, I can't do this, I'm not good enough, and here's all the reasons why, and then not actively go do something to fix those, I'm lazy. And all of the reasons, in my own personal belief, all of the reasons have to do with my personal ethics. If I wanted to be faster, I would be. I would be going to the gym more. If I wanted to be debt-free, I would be. I would be out of debt doing what it took. If I wanted to earn more income, I would be. I would be doing everything it took to make sales. It goes back to this first one. I am doing the things I want to do. Whether I say that those are the things I want to do or not, I'm doing those things, right? So this is a myth and this is a falsehood. And if you're thinking this like I was in victim land. I was lazy. I was out of my own ethics. And I really was basically like my mind was telling the truth. You're not good enough for it. Based on who you are right now and what you do and the way you behave, the goal will not happen. That's what makes me different from these other groups. That's what my mind was saying. And it was 100% true. I just hadn't taken the steps to do something about it yet. Now, the final myth, let's bust. I can't achieve my goals until. Okay, I can't achieve my goals until. Let's fill that in with until I do what is required. Now, there's two lists here. Okay, there's a list of things that are actually required, and then there's a list of BS stories that I tell myself are things that are required, even though they're not. You've got to be really cut and dry. I'm very, very black and white with this. I ask myself cause and effect. I make a list of what's actually required, and then I get rid of things on the list. Is that really required? No, it's not. Let's take it off the list. Okay, is this really required? No, it's not. Let's take it off the list. So if I'm trying to save, let's say my goal is to save $50,000 in 2020 so that I can invest, I would need to make a list of all the things I believe I would need to do to get there. Then I would need to take a very objective and unemotional look at that list and remove the things that aren't true. Okay, to get there, I would need to earn more income. That's definitely true. To get there, I would need to move to a different state. That's not true. There's somebody in Alaska, in Anchorage right now that saved $50,000. Let's take that one off the list because it's not going to help me. I'm going to pursue that rabbit all the way down the hole and never get to 50K because I had the wrong targets on my list. Okay, these are called conditional targets, guys. If this happens, then that can happen. If this happens, then that can happen. You've got to look at, is the if this statement true to the then that statement, right? So if it doesn't make logical sense, if it's not the natural cause and effect of the universe, if I make more money, then I can save more money. That's a true statement. If I move to a different state, then I can make more money. I don't know if that's true. Shoot, like there's people that live here that make good money. So why would I need to move? And why would I give myself that false target? Okay, so these are all the truths about goals. And I hope this really helps you guys. Now, we're going to do things a little differently. Usually I have various slides that I go through and we break them all down. I built this out because I want to give you, we're really just going to hang out on this slide tonight. I want to give you the holistic view of how I map this stuff out, okay? So the first thing that I do, I look at what is my financial goal, okay? And it's got to be a real what, okay? So I set what I call SMART: specific, measurable, action-based, relevant, and time-bound. So what is my goal? It needs to be specific, right? So if my goal was to make more money, Lexi, is that specific? Make more money? No. How much more money? How much money do I want to make? What is my goal? Now, I would even say make 100,000 is not a goal. I would say that that's down here. You're actually in lower level stuff. The goal is actually big. It should be something that's huge, and it should be a lifetime oriented thing. What is my goal? One of my goals personally is I want to help millions of families become financially educated and wealthy so they can navigate their economic futures with certainty, because I honestly think that would change the globe. Like, we can talk about all sorts of, but if we just made everyone not struggling with money, not stuck with bad data about finances, not beat up with their money and having all these considerations and self-doubt and crap that comes up as a result of money, I think the world would be a better place. That's one of my goals. Now realize that's specific. Okay. Is that measurable? Millions. Okay. I can measure millions, right? Is it action based? I'm gonna have to do some work to get there. Is it relevant? It is relevant to my purpose and where I want to be at. And is it time bound? In my lifespan, I would like to achieve that. That's a big goal, right? So I would expect for myself, and I would recommend for you, make this top one, the what, make this really big, giant, lifetime, like something where you may not even be able to get it done in this life. That's how legacies are built, right? You think about people that are remembered after they die. It's because their goal was so big that when they passed away, somebody else had to carry on their mission. So if I'm thinking about have 100 grand, like, hopefully that's not a lifetime goal. No one's going to be passionate about that after I die. That's really not going to leave a legacy. The goal has to be big. Now, this is the difference between a goal and a target. A target is down here. A goal is high level. A lot of us, including me, I didn't know the difference. So I would get really confused on, did I just set a goal, or is this something that I should expect to be like 30 years down the road? Okay. The long-term stuff is the goal. Think about it. You have a football field. The goal is the end zone. That's the end of the field. It's all the way down there. You have yard lines. Those are your targets. You're going to run 1 yard, 2 yard, 3 yard, 20 yards, but those aren't all goals. Those are just targets. Those are plays you're going to make to get there. The goal is all the way down the end of the field. Now, sometimes you might score and go all the way down the end of the field with less effort, but the goal is not the 1 yard line. The goal is the touchdown, right? So the goal is long-term, and it needs to be financial. And then you need to know why. Why is that your goal? I ask myself that all the time. Why is that my goal? Why am I doing this? I can't answer why I'm doing something. I'm not going to be passionate about it. I'm not going to push. Okay, I seem like I overwork. The reason why is because I know why. I know why I'm doing it. I'm not like, man, I could be doing this instead. I'm thinking about, why am I doing what I'm doing? And if I'm not passionate about that, I'm not going to be passionate about this here, right? Now, the third thing you need to answer is, how will I get there? This is the chosen vehicle, the tool, the method in which you'll take to get there. So I can be all the way up on my goal. This is what I'm going to do. I can be all the way up on my why. This is why I'm doing it. But if I don't know what tools I'm going to use, it's going to take me a really long time to figure it out. If I say my goal is to go to Florida, the reason why is it's warm there and I don't like cold weather, and I haven't figured out, will I drive, run, walk, or fly? It's going to take me a long time to get to Florida. So I need to figure out, what's my vehicle? What's my method? For me, mine personally is wealth dynamics. That's my vehicle. My goals, my purposes will be met through the vehicle of wealth dynamics. You've got to understand that. I didn't understand this, guys, for a long time. And even I would say in the last 2 years, like, this was still fuzzy for me. In 2019 was when I really got clear on this. If this is not in place, none of this stuff's going to happen. Right? Not to say it's all high level, fuzzy, esoteric, and there's no action. You definitely need to put in action. But I'm saying, if you don't know why you're doing the action, what it's directed toward, and how you're going to get there, the action is not going to amount to anything. Because again, if we go back to the statement of a goal is the result or achievement of efforts toward which effort is directed. There has to be direction. All of this stuff here, this is my direction. If I don't have direction, I can have the effort, but the results are not going to show up in my direction. They're going to be all over the place. And if you felt that way, I have before, where you work, and your goals show up everywhere and they're all kind of misaligned and strangled, just a mess. That's because this is not in place. This has to be there first. Now, when I get this down, my what, my why, and the vehicle, what method will I use? Now I go through these 3 steps. It starts over here, right? So we're going to put number 1. Number 1 is exchange. Okay, you guys have heard this. I heard this. I overlooked it for the longest time. It's better to give than to receive. Why in the world would I think I'm going to get this stuff without exchanging and giving something up? What am I going to give to get there? The exchange. How will I add value to others? I can't just boom and I'm on the top of the mountain with my goals. And if I did, I either won them, which means I'm a victim, or I stole them. Those aren't good options for me. So I want to know that I achieved my goals. So I'm looking first at exchange. Exchange financially, we're talking again financial goals. Exchange means your income. How will I exchange to get income? It doesn't mean I'm taking income. It means I am adding value to the marketplace. Okay, any one of my clients that does business with me, this is a fact that I know of. The reason they do it is because I add so much before they do. I'll do an entire financial plan for you and not charge you a dime, and then you'll want to do business with me because I helped you and I exchange with you. I'm not saying it's 10 grand before I help you. I'm saying, let me help you first. They even do this at Costco, guys. You're walking through the aisle, try these crackers. Now go buy the crackers. They're not going to be like, hey, you should buy the crackers. You're going to be like, I don't even know what it tastes like. Why would I buy this? It might be those weird brand things where I get splinters in the top of my mouth. I don't want to buy that till I've tasted it. So you're thinking about, here's my goals. How am I going to give the marketplace a sample of my value in order to increase my income and my production? Exchange. All right. So the first thing I look at if I'm setting goals, okay, these are all my high level stuff. I'm looking at, all right, where have I made the most money so far? That's my first question. Where have I made the most money? Okay, I need to understand. This helps me understand my vehicle. This is tough too. This goes against a lot of what's being taught today by gurus. Try this new click funnel. Here's a new business opportunity. The truth is, your most viable way to get there is the way you've been getting there. The boring old same way you've been doing it this entire time that you overlook. I can't tell you how painful it was for me when I got all this exciting stuff in my business, new products, new this, new that. And then I realized, oh, we should just go back to doing what we started doing on the very first day. And we had to throw away all that garbage. And then the business blew up after we got back to this. I need to look at where am I currently making the most money? That's my number one route. I need to validate that. I don't need to quit my job. I don't need a career hop. I don't need to start a new thing. I need to look at where am I already making money? Okay. Then I need to strengthen it. How do I make this stronger? How do I get it bigger, more beefed up? Now, if I'm in business, this can mean I need to reinforce my sales. If I'm a salaried employee, this can mean I ask for a raise, which before you say nobody gives raises, I'm going to tell you, I coached a client last year on how to get a raise. He walked into his boss's office. He got a $30,000 pay raise and 15 grand in retroactive pay. Just using my script, just using what I told him to do. This is possible. The career and the job are not dead. That's just what multi-level marketers tell you to sell you their thing. Nothing wrong with multi-level marketing, but I'm saying if you have a job, your job is not dead. It's currently how you get paid. If you quit that job, you will have no income. You will restart from square zero, which I've done, and it's very painful and very difficult. I don't recommend you do it. Now, if you want to go do the multi-level thing or the new business or the side hustle or whatever your idea would be, make sure that it does not interfere with this. This is your bread and butter right now. Okay. Next thing you do, and the next thing I do, I get rid of distracting income sources. If I have income sources that currently they might be exciting, usually they are. They might be really cool, usually they are. They might be the flashiest thing you have going on, usually they are. But they're interfering with this stuff. I execute these, man. I get rid of these. I did one this year, most painful one I've ever done. It was interfering. It was not something that I wanted to give up. It was something I loved. And I had to look at it and be like, man, that thing's awesome, but it's killing me right now. I got to make the choice to get rid of it. That was a difficult call. But like I said, when I did, this stuff improved. See, this is all relating to my production. If I think about production, that's my energy source. That's what funds this whole thing. I need to have income so I can save and invest and grow. And if I have things inhibiting my income, then that's going to slow the whole plan down. Okay, I call these, and forgive me if you love this movie, I call these Old Yeller moments. Sometimes we have to put Old Yeller down. Okay, I had to do it. Like I said earlier this year, I had to look Old Yeller in the eye and be like, I love you, buddy. You got the rabies right now. It's not the best for the rest of my stuff. I got to put you down, man. And I'm not saying it's an easy decision. I'm saying it's the right decision. It's something that if it's a good stream now, it'll be a good stream later. If it's a good stream now, you wouldn't even be thinking about it, whether or not it is. You'd be like, yeah, no doubt, this is up here. But just the fact of if I said this, and I've done this before, and you thought of, maybe it's one of these, it probably is that. That's definitely probably one of those things you need to get rid of. Now, after that's taken care of, I'm going to add complementary income sources. I got my strong ones banging, pumping, doing what they need to do. I got rid of the weeds. Now I'm going to look at what else can I add that boosts this up even further. It makes not a new thing that's different because I'm bored with this. It's a thing that boosts it further. It's going to be parallel to supporting. It's going to grow. They're going to feed off of each other, right? All of this is on the topic of exchange. And what I've learned is if I do exchange first, my numbers stay up. Who here is like me where you've decided, okay, it's time to do goal setting and you got all into organized mode and then your income dropped because you weren't doing anything. You were just sitting there with a planner and the planner doesn't actually make you any money. And you're like, man, my sales went down, my income went down. That 2-week reset vacation was awesome, but now I came back and I'm broke. You avoid that by producing first. Realizing, okay, I need to set goals, but I also need to keep running because if I don't, it's going to drag me all over the place. The next part we've got here is, let me clear my board off a little bit. The next one we've got here is organize. Now we start planning. This is what I do. I produce first, then I go into organizing mode and systems. So the first thing I'm looking at is how much will I earn? How much will I earn? Now, this one I want to really break down well. This is what I do. It's different than what most people do. And I'm going to start with what most people do because it's what I used to do. I think of a number that sounds really cool because I've heard a lot of celebrities say it and I've seen it in a lot of movies and it seems like a cool number. And then I say, 10 grand a month. That sounds cool. I'm going to do 10 grand a month. All right. And that's 120K a year. So I need to make that. That's my goal. The reason why is because that's the right answer, isn't it? Wrong. This is what I do now. So I look at how much do I want to invest? How much money do I want to invest next year? That's the first number I start with. Okay, now if I'm investing, let's say my number, just to keep it really easy, is if I say my number is 50K, I'm going to do this on this side. So I'm going to invest 50. Okay, now that's my number for investing. How much money do I want to give? How much money do I want to just be able to give away next year? I think about that. Okay, I'm going to invest 50. Let's say 10 grand. So 10K. All right. So I'm going to invest 50. I'm going to give away 10. How much do I want to live on for the year so that I can eat what I want to eat, go where I want to go, travel, have fun, basically just like living and fun. Those are, and I don't make those two separate budget categories. I have the freakishly weird belief that living should be fun. And if it's not, it's because you don't have the money to fund that. I've been there. So how much do I need to make to live the way that I want to so that living is fun? Okay, I think 100 grand. I don't think you can have fun without 100 grand. That's eating how you want to eat, going where you want to go, going out on the weekends. You're not restricted at that point. So let's call it 100 grand. So I need to have 100 grand just to live and have fun. So that's 100K, that's 50, that's another 10. So that means that I need to make 160K before taxes. Okay. Now, if I'm factoring in, let's say I'm in a 25% tax bracket, that means that I need to make, what's 160K times 1.25? I need to make another 25% on top of that, right?
2,000.
200,000? 160K times 1.25 or 1.25.
20,000, sorry.
That's another 20,000. 160K times 1.25. 160,000 times 1.25.
200,000.
200K.
Got it.
We got it figured out, guys. So that means that I need to have 200,000 in adjusted gross income, pay my taxes, have 160 left over, live on 100 of it, give 10 of it away, and then invest the other 50. That's how I set a financial target. All right. Now, based on what I do, if I'm on salary, it might just be like show up to work and then make the 200 grand. If I'm in sales or I run a business, I need to be thinking about how much do I need to sell and have in top line gross revenue before I pay all my business operating expenses on the top in order to have 200K left over on the bottom. Right. And then I'm thinking about very actively, I'm going to be very overt about this. How do I eliminate taxes? Okay. I do personally believe taxation is theft. So I'm going to look at every single way that I can eliminate taxes And if you don't like that, you can pay some of mine for me. All right. So the next thing I'm looking at is, what's my savings target? We kind of broke that down. How can I pay less in taxes? What's my investing target? That's everything we just did on the sides here. But do you guys see, like, when I first started doing it that way, there was so much clarity. I knew why I was trying to make the number I was trying to make. It wasn't like I made 100, so I need to make 1,000,000. It was, I want to have this to invest. I want to have this to give. Here's what I'm going to live on. Here's everything I want to have and keep for the year. And then I need to pay my taxes, and here's how much I need to sell. That's where I came up with the number. It's not just this, like, I made it up out of my butt and I don't know why that number is important. This is the entire organized thing. It gives you a why for your numbers, for your income numbers. All right. Now, in order to actually implement this and execute, and by the way, if you're watching this and you're like, man, this is good and it's also a lot and I don't think I got it all yet, we're going to leave this up on YouTube for a couple of days so you can go check it out or rewatch it, watch the replay. I'll send this out on my email blast too. If you would like to be inside of Wealth Dynamics University, where we have all of these, you can let us know. We can get you set up with a membership with that too. So if I'm trying to execute now, the first thing I need to do to execute is I need to invest in myself. That is the first thing I need to do to execute. I am making what I'm making because of who I am as a person, the level of ability that I have, the talent that I have, the knowledge that I have. And so I want to grow my income. I need to grow myself first. This is not a trust fall and a firewalk. This is you grabbing a freaking textbook about the thing you want to learn about and a dictionary and a highlighter, and you study 3 hours a night. That's what I mean. You're not going to learn it in a 3-day weekend course. I'm sorry to tell you that. You're going to meet cool people there, but it's not going to be the events. Events will not help you do this. This is personal development time. This is you spending the time on your weekends and on your evenings to level up. You can't go to a 3-day event and be like, man, my income's going to blow up because I watched famous people on stage for 72 hours. Again, cause and effect. That's not going to cause the effect that you want. I've tried it. I've been there. I'm telling you, avoid the expensive way of just getting basically fanboyed around. This does mean you buy materials and courses and learn like you did when you were in school, or maybe not. I didn't learn when I was in school, like you're supposed to do when you were in school. So invest in yourself first. Next, you implement the sacred account. The reason why you implement the sacred account first is you're taking this and this and you're putting them on autopilot. Okay, you're putting them on autopilot. The sacred account is a forced committed savings plan. So if my goal is to invest 50,000, and this is the shark in me. If I'm saying my goal is 50,000, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to commit to 50,000 on paper so that it's going to come out of my bank no matter what. Now I've got a problem. I need to go figure out how to make sure the money is there. That is the purpose of the sacred account in this part of the equation. I'm going to commit to, like when I was a kid, I used to help my sisters stick their hay fields. We would go through and pull all the sticks out. One of the games that I thought would be fun, and it was fun, is you tie a rope around your waist and then you tie the other end to the truck, and then you have somebody drive the truck and you see how fast you can run. Okay, that's what you're doing here. If you do not run faster, you will get drugged, and it's not going to be fun getting drugged. So if you're serious about your goal, and this is what I do, I overcommit to this so that it drags me. I have no choice but to go make that money. Income necessity is what that's called. Next thing I'm doing here on the execution is I'm repurposing my expenses to lower taxes. We call this the 1 to 5 game, right? So 5s, if I'm rating a transaction on a 1 to 5 scale, 1, it's dumb. 2, it's bad timing. 3, it's a maybe. 4, it's needed for my own personal survival. 5, it is producing income or going to, or potentially going to. Let me be clear about this. Anything that is a 5 is tax deductible. So if I'm spending money on something, my game is, how can I make this a 5? I just went out to dinner last night. How can that dinner be a 5? Oh, it's got to be a marketing expense. Great. Let me bring a client there. Or I just bought a new vehicle. How do I make the vehicle a 5? Oh, there's a section 179 deduction. Let me buy it through my business and use it for my business 100% of the time, which means that when I'm not doing business, I need to be live streaming so that I'm always doing business. Then I can write off the entire cost of my vehicle. That's going from probably a dumb, like a stupid transaction, a 1, turning a 1 into a 5. Do I need a $60,000 BMW? Probably not, but it's tax deductible and it's going to produce income for me. Therefore, it's a 5. Let's do it. Right? Repurposing. Now, the BMW is a bad example because if you didn't need one, you weren't going to go buy one. I'm talking about what are your existing expenses? How do you repurpose your existing expenses so that I take what I'm already going to spend money on and I have the IRS subsidize it by 25 or 30% by taking a tax deduction. Now, the last part of execute is acquire assets that buy my time back. The whole purpose of this, the whole purpose of having this done is to be financially free. Therefore, I need to be incrementally buying my time back, which means that the 50K, yes, I could go reinvest it back into marketing and grow my business, but that's not going to buy my time back. That's going to take my time. Therefore, I need to definitely market, but I need to have budgeted. How do I put the 50K into an asset that requires none of my time? So that way, when I have enough of those assets and enough of those 50K chunks producing for me, I don't have to show up to work tomorrow if I don't want to. I can go do stuff that drives my purpose. I can go do whatever I want to do because I'm financially funded. That is the purpose of this entire thing. So how will you get there? In 2020, you've got to have this put together. I've got to have this put together. But if I just sit here dreaming about passive income and being financially free, and then I don't do any of this stuff, guess what? It's not going to happen. Not only that, if I have the greatest plan in the world, all of this stuff down, and I don't freaking execute, I'm foolish. For me to think that just because I have an order sheet of paper sessions, I don't do my blueprint, I don't go produce, I don't set up my sacred account, I don't save, I don't invest, I can already fast forward at the end of the year and say that if I'm that person, I will have made no progress. And it'll be nobody's fault but my own. I can't blame you for that. It's my fault. If I didn't follow the plan and execute it, even though I had it right there, that's my fault. And I've got to take responsibility for that because I've been that guy before. And it wasn't until I realized, shoot, I'm doing this to myself over and over and over that things started to improve. Okay, so guys, we're going to wrap up really quick. I want to recognize some clients of ours. So this is a series we do every week called Leading by Example. These are clients that we select every week that are embodying the subject we're talking about. Okay, they're walking it out. So this week, we're talking about how to set and achieve goals for 2020. I want to recognize two of our clients that have set and achieved their goals for 2019. So this is Eric and Darren Whitaker, and I want to read you what they said. So Eric, and that's a dope picture. They got the Star Wars guys there. You can tell they're both excited, but you can tell Eric is way more excited than Darren is about that. This is what they said. Eric said, since becoming clients of Wealth Dynamics a year ago, we've been able to pay off 4 bad debt accounts, meaning credit cards, things that aren't producing income for them. We increased our income by about 20% in the last year. And we even managed to improve our standard of living by moving into a nicer and bigger place. So check this out, guys. They just said we paid off 4 bad debt accounts. We bumped our income up and we moved into a nicer place. I used to believe the myth of beans and rice. You got to live on beans and rice and everything has to suck because you're trying to get out of debt. These guys are saying, no. We're going to pay off the debt and increase our income and we're going to live on the high rise. We're going to live somewhere nice all at once. That's what wealth is about. So check this out. They said, WDX has helped us understand our numbers and have a plan in place. Overall, we are going to be debt-free 32 years sooner. Dang, 32 years sooner. And we're going to save $220,000 in interest by using our sacred account. That is an insanely big number. We have much more knowledge and awareness with our money, and we pay much closer attention to things. So they're saying they have more knowledge and more awareness. They're paying attention. Imagine driving where you had no knowledge, no awareness, and you weren't paying attention. Lexi, would you drive in the car if I was that driver? Nope. Why do you get in the financial car when you're that driver? They're saying they're not that way anymore. We have much more knowledge and awareness with our money. We pay much closer attention to things. We knew it would be hard and it wouldn't happen right away, but the results give us the confidence to keep going. So they're saying when we talked to them at the beginning of 2019, they said, we want to increase our income by 20%. We want to pay off 4 bad debts. We want to move into a bigger place. They did all of those things. And they said that they knew it would be hard work. They knew it wasn't going to happen right away. They did it anyways. And what they're telling you, and what I realized when I was in this spot too, is when you start producing the results, the fire gets hotter. You're probably not motivated when you first start this stuff. You're maybe excited, but excited is not motivated. Excited is when you get back from that 3-day concert with all of those programs you just bought, but you're not going to use any of them. That's excited. Motivated means that I push myself. Like I have a reason why to keep going. When I don't feel excited, I have to be motivated. That's what they have. Now, as clients, they've done the blueprint with us. They're on Wealth Dynamics University. They're also using the Sacred Account. And they're saying just with those 3 services, this one was free. This one's probably like $50 a month or something. And this one they're putting in as a savings account. They're saving money into it. And we were able to help them get 4 bad debts paid off, increase their income 20%, and they're able to move into a bigger place. So I want to recognize them. That's an awesome job. Really quick action steps before we wrap up here. So first thing you got to do, you've got to select. I've got to select my goal. Okay, what is my goal? I've got to know why it's my goal. And then I've got to determine what vehicle or method I'll use to get there. Those are the first 3 things. If I do not have these 3 lenses to look through, the rest of the picture will be cloudy. Next thing here is focus on exchange and production of income. How can I exchange into the marketplace? A lot of times, and I was this way too, I focused on what's the exchange coming back before I actually exchanged in. Think about trying to put a fire together without first putting logs in. You've got to give up wood to get a fire. You've got to give something valuable to get the fire back. If I want my income to go up, I need to give something valuable first. Then I'm going to organize myself and set my targets. I'm going to get producing. I'm going to get the vehicle moving. Then I'll figure out where we're going, right? Versus if I figure out where we're going and then found out the vehicle doesn't move. That's kind of a waste of time. Let me figure out if it works. Then we figure out where I'm going to. Now I execute. I knock out those steps to move forward with my plan. Now, if I'm smart, and this is what I do, I break these down into annual, semi-annual, quarterly, monthly, weekly, and daily targets. And then I review them regularly. Sometimes, if they're very important, I even break them down into hourly or 15-minute segments, right? Like if it's calls, I can break that down into how many do we make these 15 minutes. Those are my targets. They add up to all of this other stuff. So guys, that's what I want to give you today. I'm going to leave this open for questions. Do we have any questions online today?
Robert Sislow, he says, what do we need to know that we don't?
Robert Sislow. So Robert probably already knows everything. What we need to know here that we don't already know is we need to know that this has to have a plan in place and that plan needs to be reviewed. Okay, and this goes back to this stuff here. I've got to set my goal. All of this stuff, guys, by the way, we call it the blueprint. So we build blueprints for our clients. Just like if you were building a house, you would build a blueprint first. I would say the biggest thing we need to know is no different than anything. There has to be a blueprint in place. If I don't have a blueprint in place, none of this stuff is going to be there, or it might be there in my head, but on paper, it's not there. Imagine hiring a contractor and saying, build my house, and they're like, sweet. And then they're just doing it all from their head. They've never showed you what it looks like. You would be very concerned. So I'm this way with my finances. I need to have a blueprint. That's what we need to know that's not already in place, that most of us, and I'm not even going to say you don't know. I'm going to say you do know. It's just never been presented to you and you've never been educated on it, because that's how it was for me. Like at the end of the day, I was like, oh yeah, if I write this stuff down, it's going to help. But no one had helped me do that before. So I hope that answers your question, Rob. Lexi, any other questions we have online here?
Nope, I think that was it.
Awesome, guys. So thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. We will be back next week. If you watched this today and you said, man, I need help with this, or I think I have my goals for 2020, I'd like to have someone double check or maybe hold me accountable, reach out to us. Okay, that's what the blueprint is for. That's why we do these courses. That's why we have Wealth Dynamics University. It's all there to help you achieve your financial goals. I hope that is valuable for you tonight. Thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe. Talk to you next time.